Hi, everyone. Oh, my mic is on, so that's a good thing. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sashka and the team, for having me. And I'm really excited to be talking about something that I think we should all be doing, because there's nothing worse than having to do a job that you don't love. So having the power to know how to monetize what you do is literally it. My name is Lebo, as Danny said, and I've worked with leaders, corporates, helping them build personal brands, helping them build brands, and helping them use marketing to achieve their commercial objectives. And today's conversation is very close to my heart because I have also used marketing and personal branding to monetize myself and to be able to live the life of my dreams. Just to give you an example of what that looks like, about 6 years ago, I was sitting at home. I just finished trying to build a tech startup, and I didn't know where to go from there. It didn't work out. We spent a lot of money and we lost a lot of money. It didn't work out. And I was sitting at home thinking, what do I do now? What is my next, you know? And I looked online, and I looked at what people were doing, and I just wasn't interested in anything I was seeing. I studied a BCom marketing degree, but at the time I wasn't too sure if it was something I should use. Then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm seeing a lot of campaigns and things that I'm not really cool with. I'm not enjoying them. So let me see how I can contribute to the marketing industry. So I thought, let me start a podcast. Let me start writing my ideas down, and let's see if people in the marketing industry will be interested. And I think after 2 or 3 months of literally writing down my ideas on a blog and recording my podcast on my phone, literally with my voice notes, I started getting corporates coming to me. I started getting publishing houses saying, would you like to write a book about your marketing ideas? Literally, people just started coming to me saying, we really love what you're offering and we want to help you commercialize it. And I thought, this is so interesting. I'd never thought of making money from this. I just thought, I'm going to share what I want to know, what I know. But I wasn't too sure about making money out of it, and I wasn't too sure about like where it was going to go. I just wanted to create, so I created. And fast forward now, 6 years later, I get booked by corporates almost on a weekly basis to speak about marketing, to speak about monetization, to speak about podcasting and the media landscape. I have clients around the world who I consult for. And I literally have been able to buy investment properties, a car. I own my time. Literally, learning how to monetize my talent has helped me own my time, own my life. I get to do what I like to do, and I get to look cute if I want to whilst I do it. So, guys, there's power in this. You know, there's so much power in believing in what you're doing and then being able to monetize that. And this comic right here actually says so much about today's topic, where our cartoonist says, right, I think I'll call it fire. Now I just need to work out how to monetize it, right? I think that speaks to so many of us, where we're creating really valuable things that people actually need, that could change the world. But because we don't know how to communicate its value, we can't sell it. And so it just becomes like this small little idea in history, once upon a time, something you did, when it could have actually changed the world, changed your life, and just given a more texture to the world that we see. So I think this cartoon speaks so well to what we're going to do today. Our conversation is interactive, so I'm not that keynote speaker who just wants to show you how great I am at speaking. I want you guys to interact with me because we're here to learn and we're here to use these skills in the things that we do. So please don't be afraid to ask questions. Just put your hands up and somebody will bring a mic to you as we're going through the presentation, and you can ask your question. And also don't forget to tweet, do all the right things. Let's put this on the socials. It's very important. We're digital citizens now, so we need to make sure that everything that we do also exists online. Our presentation is literally 7 to 8 slides about the principles of the mindset of monetization. I think a lot of you actually have an idea of what monetization is, and I'm hoping that this presentation is just going to make everything a little bit clearer for you. So let's get going. I'm not too sure, is this how do I use it? Technology. Green means go. Found it. So the first item I want us to think about is the fact that price communicates, it's a communication tool. And it's a communication tool because it communicates value. I know sometimes when I do conversations and I do keynotes, people say, but why is a marketer talking about monetization? Because monetization is all about money. And actually, what people don't know is that pricing is one of the 7 pillars of the marketing mix. And the reason why pricing is a marketing function and not a financial function is because it's a communication tool. So it communicates your value as whatever you're offering. So for example, if you are a designer and you make clothes, if you charge your t-shirts, let's say you make t-shirts and you're charging them at 20,000 rands a t-shirt, that immediately communicates so much to people. It says that you are a high-end brand. It says that, you know, only people with a certain amount of income and lifestyle can afford you. So it's already positioning you before the person actually comes to buy from you. Why is it important for us to use price in this way? It's important because it allows your ideal customer to identify you. And if your customer doesn't know who you are and what you stand for and what your worth is, they're not going to come to you. They're going to go to the competitor who's better at communicating that. So as creatives, I want us to start to get used to and comfortable with the idea of putting a price tag to what we do. I know a lot of us think that it might not be a moral thing to do or that it messes up your creative process. But guys, there's nothing cool about creating when you are hungry, when you're stressing about the bills, when you're stressing about where your next check is coming from. Literally, if you want liberation in your creation process, in your creative process, you need to put a price tag to what you do so that you have the freedom to create as you please and to get the customers that you need. And I also think this cartoon is very funny. It says, when your price is very high, people assume that your product must be very good. And that's true. That's true. We all know that there are products out there in the market that might not be the best quality or the best work, but they charge quite highly, and so that person is earning a lot of money and they have a big brand because of that. So don't undermine what pricing can do for you. Pricing is not about what you think you are worth. It's about what your customers think you're worth. You're literally trying to communicate that. You're saying to that person, this is what you must think I am worth. It's not about what you want to be worth. And I hope everyone understands that. Does that make sense? Yes. Does it? Are you sure? Because you're so quiet. Why are you so quiet? You're listening. Okay, let's do the next slide. What is monetization? Can anyone tell me? Let's make this more interactive. Can anyone tell me what monetize? Oh, there we go. Please tell us. Stand up and project. It's okay.
It's actually making your convenient, like putting a credit to your convenience.
Putting a?
Credit to your convenience.
He says it's putting a credit to your convenience. Okay, creatives, I hear you. Is there someone else who has another definition of monetization? Anyone? Come on, be brave. No one? Wait. Oh, okay. There you go. Monetization is simply making money off of what you can. Can we give her a hand? Come on, guys. Thank you. Literally, that's what monetization is, making money out of what you do. It's that simple. But if you want to spice it up, you can also use his definition. I get where he's going with it. So that is monetization. And monetization is important, like we said before, because if you're not monetizing what you do have to find other streams of income or other jobs to do so that you can make money from the things that you do. So today's conversation is all about how do I communicate my value in a way that makes people want to buy from me and that helps me sustain my career and build a life that I love. That's what we're talking about today when we say monetization. How many of you are comfortably monetizing your craft at this point? Anyone in the room can put up your hands? It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a good thing. Very few of us are monetizing. What is this? Okay, so I'm assuming it's like, what, 8 people in the room? We need more people to be monetizing, guys. We need more people. Okay, so my expertise, I guess, is in teaching people how to monetize online. When we started this conversation, I spoke about how we're all digital citizens, right? And I believe that the online space is probably one of the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal in this day and age. And if you're not online, it's as if you don't exist. Fight me, tweet me, I don't know, but that's literally what I believe. If you're not online, it's like you don't exist. And if you have something valuable to offer the market, you do need to have an online presence that communicates that offering. Otherwise, people are not going to know about it, or you're going to have to spend a lot of time trying to convince people offline that what you do matters, that it is credible. And I think using the online space is a great tool to help you move your business forward. So the value of social media, at least from my perspective, is that social media is a business tool. And I know a lot of people, when they use social media, they use it to see what their favorite influencer is doing, to see, their favorite Netflix show and what they're posting. But for me, social media is a business tool. It's only because I use social media as a business tool that I can stand in front of you today. And I want us to see it as a business tool because social media is the biggest marketplace in the world right now. There are over 7 billion people using it. And these aren't just, consumers. These are also businesses. It means that you have, 6.9999 billion opportunities to secure a customer, to connect with other business people. Literally, the opportunities are endless. And also, what's so powerful about social media is that it has no geographical bounds. So it doesn't matter where you're creating from. You can reach anybody, anywhere. There are no borders. You can literally reach anyone. As long as you have access to the internet and you have a phone, you can reach anyone. And I think that's what makes social media so powerful. So your ability to earn isn't defined by your environment, your immediate environment. It's defined by how well you can communicate to anyone in the world who might want what you have to offer. How many of you are already using social media as a business tool? Oh, more people. I like this. Can I ask why you're doing that? Just anybody who wants to stand up and, please.
So for my business, my target audience are Facebook users. So Facebook is the perfect place for me to advertise my business and what I have to offer.
What do you offer?
So I write speeches for school children.
Ah,
That's how I keep myself being able to do art. So
you're an artist, but you also write speeches for people.
moms doing their stuff, they're on Facebook, school moms, especially the type of moms that I want.
Yeah.
Are the type of moms that are on their phones on Facebook and not necessarily have the time nor the power to create stuff for their children.
That's interesting. Yes.
Where were you when I was involved? So I go, listen, you need me. This is what I have to offer.
Thank you. Thanks. That's great. I like that. Yes. And I think you touched on something that's very important, which is your audience and where they reside, right? It's very hard to find people when you're just looking for them offline, It's hard for her to find those mothers if she was going to every single school and suburb and trying to speak to them. And what social media helps you do is it helps you locate people easily by using the tools that are available, whether it's the insights, whatever it may be. There's so many tools that you can use online that help you identify and reach your target audience without having to leave your home, without having to spend a lot of money trying to guess where they might be. Literally, social media gives you all of that data and those insights. I know with creatives, you guys don't love reading data, you don't like looking at the charts and the graphs, but trust me, that is where the gold is. Once you start using your social media platforms as a business tool, you need to look at those insights at least once a week, because those things will give you an idea and paint a picture of where you're going, how well you're going, is it the right direction, should you pivot, is this the right target audience, where should you be spending more money, etc. So it can be a very, very powerful tool to use when you're building anything and trying to monetize it. And she also spoke about something very interesting and very important, which is your audience, right? So the reason why social media is such a powerful tool isn't just because of those insights and the fact that you can reach so many people. It's actually the fact that you can reach people. And we do business with people. Business is between people, right? You offer what you do to other people, and you're also a person. And what social media helps you do is to connect with people and build community, which I think is the most powerful thing you can do. You know, when we talk about building brands, a brand is basically somebody who has a community around them that galvanize around what they do and speak to the rafters and, you know, talk about it and buy it and share it with other people. So it's very important to nurture that community and build that community. Every time I teach people about how to monetize online, they say to me, "Oh, Lebo, but that means I have to be an influencer, or I have to be popular, I have to have a lot of followers." So I thought it was very important for us to just do a very quick slide about the myths surrounding social media growth and how to monetize online. I think the first one is that you have to be an influencer to have a successful online presence that helps you monetize. This could not be more false. I mean, I was monetizing when I had 600 followers on Twitter, and nobody knew who I was. My podcast was on the iTunes Top 100 charts after my second podcast, and it wasn't getting a lot of retweets, it wasn't getting a lot of reshares, but people were listening. So you don't have to be an influencer. In fact, influencing on its own is another career. So as a creative, you don't have to have an extra career to be able to sell what you're doing. You can absolutely just be a creator who is sharing what they do and allowing that to be the basis from which they monetize. So you do not have to be an influencer. But as you grow a community, you'll see that you've become influential because you are providing something valuable to people who care about what you have to offer. The second myth is social media is a popularity contest. There's nothing worse than creating something and feeling like you have to compare it to somebody else's for it to be valid, for it to be great, for it to matter, right? And there are toxic spaces on social media where people are trying to compete and compare with each other, and it is a popularity thing, usually with the influencers. But with the creators, it's a very different landscape. It really is all about collaboration. It's all about what are you doing that could possibly help what I'm doing, or that could add more to what I'm doing. It's all about who are you and what are you offering us, and are you expressing it authentically? You know, Lulama Wolf is not the same as Trevor Stootman, and they don't compete. Even if they weren't friends, you would never say that they were the same thing, because I think creativity is more of a personal expression. It's not something that you can replicate, and that's what makes it so cool to monetize your talent, because what you have to offer is absolutely unique to only you, and so you're the only supplier of that thing, which means that competition, for example, isn't as tough for you. You don't have as many competitors because what you're offering is only from you, can only come from you. Then the third myth is the number of followers you have equals the number of potential sales that you can have. This could not be further from the truth. I think from all of these myths, this one is the worst in terms of people's assumptions and what they think about the numbers on social media. There's a very popular story about an influencer who had 2 million followers, and she was only able to sell 2 t-shirts, literally. And the reason why that happened is because she didn't understand how her social media platforms worked. And she assumed that anybody who was following her for the reasons she was assuming they were following her for. But people don't follow you for that, and that's why it's so important to have a very clear value proposition. You know, I am Lebo, I talk about marketing. If you want to work with me, you're going to get marketing consultation, a podcast, and. But what happens is, if you're trying too hard to be an influencer online, you just do whatever you need to do to grow. And the people who follow you don't become your community, they're just numbers. And if they're just numbers, how do you know what they want? How do you know what they value from you? And how do you know if their attention is actually worth your time? Because yes, it's great to have followers and it's great to have a lot of followers, but guys, you also have to sift through those followers. Some followers are just not valuable for what you're trying to create. They're not valuable for where you're trying to go, and so their feedback doesn't even really matter. And what we teach people is that don't focus on how many followers you have, focus on the quality of followers you have. So try build a minimum viable audience of people who really believe in what you're doing, really find value in it, and want to purchase from you, want to participate in what you're doing, because those are the people who are going to help you create a real business. That's how I could monetize from 600 followers on Twitter. I didn't even have Instagram at the time. Just 600 followers from Twitter. And I was able to monetize because the people who followed me genuinely believed in what I was saying. And they were happy to go to their bosses in corporate and say, please, can you put this girl on our panel? Please, can you put money in her podcast? Please, can you, I don't know, get a consultation or get her to come teach the team? So it's not about how many followers you have. It's about the quality of followers you have. Are we all on the same page? It's so quiet. Anything about these myths that somebody would like to share, their own experience? Anybody? Sure, please, share with us.
I created a YouTube video 2 years ago as lockdown, just for my students. I teach sculpture, and I just wanted them to carry on. And it's now self-monetizing. It's so wonderful.
Hectic.
So, on one hand, but I have such a conflict with social media in that, as an artist, we are giving away some of ourselves every time we post something. And just to find the balance between, especially within the creative field, there's just this difficult thing of how much do you give? You've got to sort of titillate people. And that I fight with a lot. And every now and then I feel like I need a break because I'm overwhelmed with how much is out there, and there's some wonderful stuff out there. But it can be demoralizing. So it's this, that's what I really want to talk about, is just this conflict when you're giving, and you're stealing at the same time, and how to manage that.
That's so interesting. Did everybody hear what she had to say? She said that when you are posting online, you're giving away a part of yourself every time, and that it gets exhausting. I get that. I understand. And I think this also boils down to mindset. A lot of people use social media as an advertising tool. So essentially, you're not thinking about who am I connecting with when I create what I create and offer what I offer. You're thinking about who can I show this to? And those are two different things, right? Because who can I show this to already makes you go, if I show it to them, what am I going to get out of it? But if you say, who can I share this with? You're almost seeking, from a mindset perspective, you're almost seeking connection. You're almost seeking, maybe I could have a conversation. Maybe people could give me more of their perspectives and insights about what I'm doing and share whatever else they might be doing. I know it feels counterintuitive, but you have to almost not think about monetization to monetize. I know that sounds really weird. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the moment you start to think about monetization in that advertising kind of way, posting becomes a job. And it becomes so tiring. And then when you don't get the results you want, you don't want to do it anymore. And actually what you're doing is so valuable. Why doesn't anybody see it? What's the point? I don't want to do this. You know, but once you start to say, I'm going to post the way I like to post. I'm going to post what I want to post. And whoever likes it can like it, and whoever doesn't. You'll actually start to see the money coming. Because people will be able to clearly identify, okay, this is what Lebo stands for. This is what she's about all the time. Because remember, what drives value online especially is consistency. And you can't be consistent with anything that drains you. So I used to create videos where I'd say, today we're going to talk about the first P of marketing, and I hated it. It was so boring for me. And I just stopped. I stopped. One day I was like, I actually don't care if I don't get clients. I don't want to do this anymore. And I started just like doing videos of me dancing, videos of me walking, whatever I wanted to do. And I literally got better clients who paid me 5 times more than what I was getting paid doing those videos that I hated that took me a whole lot of time to do. So yes, there is monetization at the back of my mind, but before monetizing, I'm more concerned with giving value to my audience and also making the experience exciting and enjoyable for me. If it's not enjoyable for me, I won't do it. That's literally my rule, and I'd also encourage that to you guys because it makes it easier to keep creating. Social media can be very draining. Don't be afraid to take a break from it, but to consistently be online, to consistently monetize from the online space, you have to do something you can do every day or consistently that doesn't drain you, that makes you feel purposeful, that makes you feel like you're adding something to people's lives. Does that make sense? Oh, yes, another question.
Hi, my question is based on the third.
I can't hear you, sorry.
My question is based on the third illustration over
Yeah.
there. The girl, lady that only made 2 sales out of, I don't know how many followers that is. Like if like when monetizing your product or whatever it is on the social media, you're probably putting credit or like putting money into it, right? For you to get
probably?
you're probably spending on this, right? Online. I'm actually just shocked by the like her funnel, the funnel, the number that she got. Her funneling is very bad, like it's extremely bad. I doubt that is anyone that wants to have that going on, especially on social media. So like how do you think someone could dodge something like that?
It's literally from creating community instead of trying to seek customers. Because your community stays with you. You can diversify your product offering, you can make mistakes, and they'll literally stick with you, wait for you to be ready to give them some kind of commercial offering, and they will grow with you. I remember when I started, I wasn't ready to write the books that publishers wanted me to write. I was like, hold on, I'm still trying to figure out podcasting. You know, I wasn't ready to stand on stages to talk about this stuff because I wanted to learn more. But people said, it's okay, take your time, we'll wait, come to us when you're ready. You know, and that's why I said, when you want to monetize, you have to be thinking about value first and then monetization second. If you think about monetization first, it's going to be a very painful process, and you're gonna have to keep pitching yourself to people, showing them why you're valuable all the time, because initially when you created your content, you weren't thinking about that, you were just thinking about making money. So, for example, I don't usually pitch myself to brands. They come to me. And I believe in that because the moment I have to start pitching myself, usually they don't understand who I am, they don't understand what I do. So I feel that I need to just keep living online, doing what I do, and the work will come to me. And so far it has, you know. So that has worked for me, literally focusing on why am I doing this? What value does it add to my life and other people's? And then making that my first monetization pillar before anything else. Does that make sense? You know, it's another question, okay?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Simpio Nyawose. I'm a musician and creative entrepreneur. So I don't necessarily have a question. I have an answer for my brother that was asking about
That
the
one?
third. Yeah. So there's this theory called the theory of 100 fans. It was initially called the theory of, well, the first one was the theory of like 1,000 fans, but now, you know, they made it less, and then it's a theory of 100 fans. So basically it means that you get a community. So instead of targeting like a lot of people where you'd be like, I'm just trying to get everybody on social media to buy this product, you are targeting a much more smaller audience, you know. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people get wrong when you start like a t-shirt company or whatever product you're selling. You want to sell to 1 million people, which shouldn't be the case. You should be targeting 10 people, 20 people, you know, and et cetera, and you grow into that, you know, as you said, like the community element, right? Not focusing on like a lot of people, because that will cripple you in a way, you know, and it just puts a lot of stress that you don't necessarily need, you know?
Absolutely. Oh, one more, okay.
Oh, hey. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So I have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want free consultation right now. So I run a fashion week, okay?
You run
A fashion week.
a fashion week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So normally my clientele will basically be designers, you know? So
Wait, when you say normally your clientele would be designers,
well,
what do you mean by that?
my target audience is designers. Because
It is?
Designers, fashion designers.
It's a question mark. I'm just putting it in the air.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is? Question
So
mark?
now I have basically created the community through over the years. I have a good database of at least 100 designers all over South Africa. However, on my social media, I have an issue whereby I'm being followed more by models instead of by fashion designers. So I'm trying to understand how do I navigate between finding the organic clients that I want to attract versus the ones that I don't want, because anybody can be a model at this point.
Okay.
So I want to know exactly is there an opportunity to monetize in the modeling industry, although I'm not interested in entering the modeling industry? Because I just want designers. So tell me, what do I do?
Okay, that's a very layered question, and you're right, it's like a free consultation, right? Because I would firstly disagree that your target audience is designers. Because remember, and this is kind of going outside of the social media thing, but because you are running a business, you have to identify who your stakeholders are. And you have to identify what's valuable for them. So if I was an investor, like a brand, and you wanted me to sponsor your fashion week, I wouldn't care which designers you have. I'd be more interested in how many people are going to be attending your fashion week. So it becomes about what is your value proposition to everybody. Are you saying to the designers, I have this fashion week platform, and the value of this platform is we get 1,000 people coming every time we host, which means your designs get to be seen by XYZ, right? Is that your value prop? Or is your value prop, the key, value of this fashion week is that we uncover and discover upcoming designers? Then it changes the positioning of what you're offering, and then you will see who comes to you. So when you say we're launching upcoming designers, models will come to you. Because it's more about you're showcasing the industry, you're showcasing the fashion. It's not necessarily about the fashion week event. But if you were selling the event, then you would see that there'd be more brands and like your regular people coming to your page and following you. Because they'd be interested in, I get to go to a place where I get to see X, Y, Z, and these brands will be there. Fun times, it's a party as well. So a lot of the time when you get the wrong people following you, it's because of how you've positioned yourself. And that starts with, for example, pricing. And then it's also, linked to who do you say you are? Like I said, we uncover all upcoming designers, or we are the best experience for fashion in South Africa. So those things matter because they'll literally determine who follows you. And I would urge anyone who is building social media pages to really think about that sentence at the top of your page, what it says, because that says so much about what you're about. And that will literally determine who's going to follow you and who's not going to care about what you have to offer. Does that make sense? Are we happy? Another question. Okay.
Hi, Lebo.
Hi.
My name is Jackie. I have a question around sort of that differentiation that you're speaking about, because as a creative, as a cultural worker, I do several things, but I don't have time to have 3 Instagram accounts or 3 Twitter accounts. So how do you present yourself if you're somebody who does several things, and let's say you do them all really well, but you just don't want to, you don't want to get all those social media platforms to have to speak about each one of those things, and also because all the things that you do are connected in some way.
That's so interesting. You said a few things there. Firstly, you said you don't have time. I'd beg to differ. I think we all have time for the things that we want to do. And that's honestly, I think, probably the greatest challenge that I found when I work with creatives is that we want to create, right? We're so enveloped in that process, we're dedicated to it. But when it comes to the actual business of businessing our creativity, we have excuses. I don't have time. I don't want to do X, Y, Z. This doesn't work for me. It needs to be easier. But the truth is, it's not. It takes time, it takes a lot of work, and you really have to prioritize it in your schedule and what you do for it to actually work out for you. So you can't just wake wake up and post what you do and voila, things are going to work. You actually do have to intentionally think about the entire process. So I'm going to create, and when I create this and this and this is going to happen. But you did ask a great question. I just wanted to answer that first part before I go into what you asked. Even with the concept of, I have so much to offer and I do so much, you still have to decide what you want to be about. You heard when Danny read my profile that I do a lot, but there will be events and rooms where I only do one thing. In some rooms, I'm just a marketing educator. In some rooms, I'm just a speaker. In some rooms, I'm just a podcaster. And you have to be you just have to choose. Honestly, there's no, it's not rocket science. You have to decide what you want to prioritize and let the other things suffer the consequences of not prioritizing it, if I'm being quite honest. Or you could find a strategy where if your work is interlinked, then get one page where you oh, am I lying? What is that? What's happening? But you can create a page where you tell the story of why I share so many things because they're actually interlinked, and then you house them in one place that makes sense for the consumer. So let's say you write books, but also you are an illustrator and you're a speaker. Okay, so you draw illustrations for the books that you write and you go to events and speak about it. All of those things can be on one page. Then maybe you could have a website that says, if you want to work with me as an illustrator, this is where you go. If you want to work with me as a speaker, If you want to get me as an author who illustrates and speaks about it, this is where you find me. So sometimes it's about having one place, like a website, where you can house all of your offerings, and then having different social media pages, or one social media page that tells the story of, this is why I do so many things. But if you want to understand them as singular things, this is where you can go. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
It's the place I resisted and resisted.
Yeah.
But it is the place you can see people.
Yes.
And it's just there, you know.
Yes.
And you don't have to update it every day.
Exactly. Basically, she was saying she agrees with the website. It's a great place because it's like a one-stop shop, right? And unlike social media, you don't have to update it every single day. You don't have to put work on there every single day. So it does make it much easier. And a website is like a store, a shop that you have, right? So it really does position you to the right people. And if you do the right SEO and that kind of thing, search engine optimization and marketing, you can get customers coming to you just because of the keywords that you've used and that kind of thing. So websites are really great, like hubs for all of your content, houses for all of your content.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Asake. I'm a creative. You keep speaking about value versus price.
Yes.
So with music, because it's a very saturated market, how do you speak value? How do you speak your difference so that the price makes sense? Because you'd find in instances whereby you're playing something different from the popular trend,
Yeah.
and then when you price that, it's too expensive than the popular trend. So where do you find the balance between that?
It's interesting you use words like the popular trend, right? So we all create within industries, right? And even in those industries, there are sub-industries. And this was that concept I was talking about earlier when I think the lady at the back was saying, no, it was a guy at the back, and he was saying, models keep coming to my page, but I actually want designers. So even within the industry that you're in, there's still industries that you belong in that industry. And in that industry, you also have to almost assess what are the factors that drive people to consume, what are the factors that drive people to invest. And those would be your stakeholders, so either customers or investors, brands, whatever the case may be. And then, and this becomes very tricky. This is why you would need like a marketer on your team or somebody so they can sit down and look at your offering as it is. But what I always tell creatives is don't create things for trends. Create things that you want to create. Because at the end of the day, you have to fall on that sword. You have to be the one who pioneers and pushes whatever you create. And the thing about creating, whether you're writing a book, whether you are going to be a speaker, whether you're a dancer, whatever the case may be, is that a lot of the time, people don't understand what you've created for a long time. So you almost kind of showcasing your skills, it feels like to nobody. And you can't do that if you're trying to showcase a trend. So create what's authentic to you. And if what's authentic to you really fits in the trend, then great. If it doesn't, that's fine. Because not everybody is looking at trends. Remember, there are different kinds of customers, and they're all looking for different things. In the art world, for example, there are lots of people who say, I don't want to buy art that 100 people have. I want art that 2 people have, or art where I can be the only person who has it. So that artist never has to be on an Amapiano trend on TikTok, because it doesn't matter. They're selling to one person and they're probably selling for 1 million, 2 million. So they'll probably be waiting for 6, 7, 8 months, a year before they find that customer. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to be able to identify which industry you're in, and then in that industry, what's the subset that you're in, and then what are you offering? What is its pricing? And then that should be able to tell you, because I'm pricing higher, it's going to take me longer to secure a customer. Because I'm selling less stock than other people, it's going to take me more time to sell, and I'm going to have to do more to communicate its value. So for example, if I'm selling a painting worth R1 million, I must tell you why. And that why can't be because it's great. Maybe I need to have another very well-known artist who vets me, and they write this beautiful long love letter to me. I post it on my website, and then, those kinds of things. So the extent of your effort is determined by how you position yourself and where you fit in your industry. Does that make sense? It's a bit of a tricky thing to understand. Yeah?
Hi. So a lot of social media platforms now are giving you the get followers quick option of boosting posts. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think that's a viable way of marketing?
Yeah, you can boost your posts. Look, it works in the sense of being able to maybe get insights about who's seeing your work, where you should be posting more of your stuff, etc. But everything you do online, guys, remember, boosting your post is a form of advertising, which means that they probably would be a specialist who understands that thing better than the average person. So they know how to get more out of it than the average person. So with anything you do online, if you're going to pay for it, Google it. That's literally my advice to you. If you're going to pay for it, Google it. Understand, what does it mean when I boost? What does boosting do for me? Go to YouTube, watch videos of guys who've boosted and made money, because then you'll understand how boosting is supposed to work for you. Don't just click boost. Actually, you asked a great question, because I have a friend, and he's a very well-known guitarist. And he called me one day, and he's like, Lebo, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to boost my posts on, on Facebook. And I was like, okay, no, that's not going to happen. And he's like, so I said to him, tell me about what you're doing. And he's like, okay, so I've put away 1,000 rands, and I'm going to boost for X amount of days. And I don't know why he keeps asking me of country and customer, because I want everyone to see it. So I was like, okay, but it doesn't work like that. So essentially I said to him, take 200 rand, boost with 200 rand, and figure out how boosting works with a little bit of money. Once you understand how it works, then you can start putting more resources, or take your money and put it somewhere else. But boosting is literally, you have to understand, who's my target market? Where are they? Where do I want to be seen? What is my strategy? Which stakeholders do I want to acquire through this boosting strategy? So it's not merely just clicking that button, but Facebook knows that people don't know that. So you click and click and click and click and keep clicking, and it will show you 10,000 people saw your thing, but you're not even getting one call, or one click on your website. It's because you didn't think about who your stakeholders were that you were trying to reach and then to be seen by. Because sometimes we're reaching someone else, but we want somebody else to see us. And that becomes very complex. It's not something I can talk about today in depth. But yeah, just Google it. Google it and YouTube it. I think that's the best solution.
I'm going to come up because I just want to come into this conversation. I feel like Lebo doesn't even need someone to moderate her questions, but I have a lot of questions.
Great.
Just relating to, how did you enter this work?
How did I enter this work?
Yes, how did you enter this
being
marketing world?
The marketing world. So, I come from a family of CAs and lawyers. And when I finished matric, my dad, he applied for me. Can you be the audacity? He applied for me, and he said, you're going to become a CA. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. So I went to Wits, tried it for 2 years. It wasn't my thing because I'm very creative. I'm no music. I love the creative arts. So I said, listen, I'm changing my degree. I'm going to do a BCom marketing. Studied that. Then I realized that I didn't want to work in corporate. So I started a tech company. Very long story. But it was a great adventure. We learned a lot about business. And in doing that, I realized that I'm very good at marketing. Like I realized that of everything we were doing there, the marketing is what I enjoyed doing the most. So when I was sitting at home trying to figure out my next step, I just thought, let me do this thing. I think I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I am because I haven't really tested it in the market enough. So let me see what I can do. And I literally, guys, really don't do what I do. I literally wrote a couple of options down, like podcasting, YouTube, whatever, closed my eyes, did this, and it landed on podcasting and I chose it. Literally, that's what I did. Don't do that, but I did that. And I gave myself 6 months. I was just like, let me see what will happen if I try to do this thing for 6 months. And then the opportunity started to unfold. They started presenting themselves to me. So people would say, we actually like your voice, you should come speak. And I was like, okay, maybe let me try. Or, we actually like what you're offering in your Twitter threads. Can you come train our team? And I was like, I don't know how to do that, but I tried. So I literally started with, what am I trying to do here? What's the value I want to bring, which is just my voice. I wanted to add my voice to the marketing industry. And then it became this.
And also, I wanted to ask, because, we had a question from the floor about social media presence. And I think all of us are trying to figure out that space, right? Social media versus self-care versus, like, how much do I put myself out there? What do I actually share? How do you manage yours?
How do I manage mine? Terribly, because, at heart, I'm a creative, right? So a lot of the things I do are driven by how I feel. And in the business world, that's not a very good thing to do, but that's who I am. So in the beginning, when I started, I was all about, I need to, when I started Instagram, because Twitter was different. When I started Instagram, I was all about, how do I get the right customers? How do I make money? Bam, 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 business. And then I just started feeling drained. I stopped posting, and then I realized that I had to change my strategy and my perspective in terms of using Instagram and all the other platforms to monetize. So I started asking myself, what do I want to say to people? Why am I doing this? Do I want to do this? And if the answer is no, I pivot and do something else. If the answer is yes, I'd research and Google, how do I do this? Am I doing it well? And I'd also just test, I'd play with things. I'd be like, there's a boosting button, let me boost. Then I'd see the insights and then I'd go, okay, I don't think I did the right thing because I'm a marketer, so I can understand the insights. And then I'd just take it from there. So with my social media, I think the sweet spot came when I started doing things I actually enjoyed and not things that I thought would please people or things that I thought would get me clients.
And I think all of us are really benefiting from Lebo's knowledge, which we can tell from the fact that she hasn't even finished her presentation to us all. We're all rushing in to ask a great deal of questions. So I'm going to let you finish.
Okay.
And then come back in with some questions after.
Great. Thank you. Funnily enough, a lot of you have asked me questions that are kind of also embedded in the other slides. So we'll move through the presentation very quickly. PowerPoint presentations are not my favorite thing. I don't know about you guys, but I think interacting is so much better than looking at slides and someone telling you how great they are. The next slide is all about monetization methods. Does anyone in the crowd want to share some monetization methods that they know of before we go into them? Anybody?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Tabang.
Hi, Tabang.
And I don't know if I'm sharing, but it's see it as sharing and also asking a question.
Sure.
I believe in creating one product and trying to sell it for R1 million rather than creating 1 million products and trying to sell, one product for like a certain amount of time. And you kind of hinted on that earlier when you were talking about selling an artwork for like R1 million, like one artwork and creating a story. And it's kind of like what I'm trying to do as a creative. And I was wondering if that's like a way of selling, and also if somebody was trying to do that, how they would go about it.
That's interesting. Okay, so, and that's actually a very good question. And he was basically asking me if that strategy of I sell my painting for R1,000,000, I have to wait, etc., is that a monetization method? No, it isn't. That is a strategy. So that is once I've thought about who my market is, who my stakeholders are, what I think the value of my work is versus what the market thinks, that strategy that you create, that will get you to the point of I'm the artist who sells one painting a year and the painting is worth 10 million. But monetization methods would be things like selling digital products. So it's how you're selling, not necessarily the strategy of selling. Does that make sense? No? No? So monetization, let's say monetization methods would be selling digital products, right? That's an option. Another option would be having an online store. Having an online store, you can have one whether you're selling a painting for 10 million rands or you're selling a painting for 2 rands. Is that clearer? Yes. Do you get what I'm saying? But so the strategy you would use on your website to sell a painting worth R1,000,000 is different to the kind of strategy you would use on your website to sell a painting worth 2 rand. So that would look like, what kind of visuals do you have on your website if you're selling more high-end products? You know, the font that you're using, the design, the payment options, where your website reaches, that would determine who comes, and that would boost your strategy in terms of like, I'm selling one painting for R1,000,000. But everybody can use a website no matter what they're selling. So the monetization methods is the thing that you use to sell, not what you are selling. Yes? Does that make sense? Are we confused? Yeah?
Wait. Is it monetization methods like, for example, just so I could get this correct, you talking about like click funneling or
email marketing.
Email marketing. Are you talking about that?
Yeah, so you would use those strategies, yes. You would use those strategies. Those are strategies.
So what's a method?
The method would be, for example, having an online store. So having a website, an e-commerce store, that would be one of the methods of monetization. Doesn't matter what you sell as a creative. If you have a website that people can go to purchase your product, to understand your brand better, that's one of the monetization methods. Another monetization method, for example, is having a subscription service. Let's say you're a cartoonist and you want people to pay to see your cartoons. You could have a website where they subscribe and pay 5 rand a month and they get to see your cartoons every month, you know, so that's the subscription would be a monetization method. Selling digital products, so let's say you write books, for ebooks, for example, and you want to teach people how to play the guitar. Creating ebooks would be a monetization method. Does that make sense? Yeah?
I was just going to say that I don't know if it fits, but I'm thinking point of sale.
Yes.
So basically, like, as you're saying, is it going to be a website? Is it a payment link? How does that kind of link up with the value or the kind of way that you're marketing your brand?
Yeah.
Because a payment link might devalue your product, but also it makes it easier for some of your client base or your customer bases.
Okay, yes. Anyone else? There are people here.
Just a question. So then, if let's say, for example, you're a consultant like yourself, what would you say is a monetization method of yours?
Okay.
Like, okay, it would be like a website, or it would be like, because in most cases when you're consulting directly to a client directly, or is it
Okay.
Yeah.
So my monetization method, I think that's a great place to start actually. How do I monetize? One of the ways that I monetize is through my podcast. So my podcast is actually a monetization tool. And you find that in careers where people are sharing knowledge and information, they use podcasts not only to market what they do, but also to monetize. How do I monetize the podcast? I get brands to pay for adverts through the podcast. I get people to sponsor guest interviews. that kind of thing, product placements on the podcast, because we also have a video version of the podcast. So we sell product placement space on the podcast, and that's how we monetize. So I think the podcast has like 6 monetization options in terms of like who the client would be, what kind of money I'd make from them, and the timelines around that. So that's the one way I monetize. I monetize my podcast, and it's also in its own company. It's a media house on its own. So when people want services about how do I start a podcast, consulting, helping brands create podcasting content, helping brands create podcasting strategies, they'll come to me and they pay for that entire package. That's how I monetize my podcast as a media house as well. So that's the one kind of way with the podcasting, and then we offer brand and ad space. Then another way I monetize is through being an influencer. So because of the information I share and the fact that my market is largely women who are professionals, brands feel like this is a very valuable customer base, so they'll ask me to talk about, I don't know, a new financial product that's coming out, and they'll pay me to talk about it on Instagram or to write a thread about it on Twitter. So that's how I monetize my influence. Do you guys understand where I'm going with this? And then because a lot of my stakeholders are brands and very big companies, I have a website because I understand that they need something like that. It's a credible form of business for them. So my B2C customers, so my actual followers who follow me every day, they don't need me to have a website. They don't care about my website. But the corporates who want to put money into my business, they need to see a website because I don't have offices that they can come to. So the website is those offices, and it houses everything. This is how you can work with Lebo as a corporate or a brand, essentially. So I think websites are quite powerful because they allow you to like put everything that you do in one place, and then people can just come to you when they're ready. Yeah? There's a question.
Another way of monetizing could be of you sharing some of your products for free in order to lure people into, say, something like a Patreon where you can share more about the actual products that you do and also monetize the process in which you create those products.
Absolutely, exactly. So a great way to kind of drive monetization means getting people to actually buy what you're offering, is to give them samples or a taste of your work. That's why social media is such a great tool, because you get to give people a taste of your work every single day. Unlike traditionally, where when we didn't have social media, people would have to, I don't know, come to your store and, get a tester, or, come to a concert, hear a bit of your music, and then maybe decide. But now that you have social media, you can literally give people a taste of your work every single day, and it makes that purchasing decision much easier for them as time goes on, because the message is consistently being driven to them. Look at this thing, try this thing exists. Why haven't you tried it? What is it? Essentially, that's why we say post consistently, because it almost works as like a communication sales funnel to wherever people can actually eventually purchase what you have to offer. Yes, there are questions.
Hi.
Hi.
I absolutely love your energy.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I think it's important for creatives to be reminded of how crucial it is to find a balance between, like the example that you just did now, giving people testers and stuff like that. I have a friend who is very passionate about developing upcoming artists, especially their children in high schools. And for so many years, she did it for free. And after that, she felt so betrayed, because when she put money on it, none of the parents showed up. And I was like, but you were wrong, because you gave it to them for free for so long, you can't now expect them to change the terms. So I think we always fall into the trap of doing things out of passion, that we forget that we are supposed to be getting something else outside of it. So just really finding the balance. For how long are you gonna give out those testers, and when do you want it to pay out and stuff like that? I hope I'm making sense.
You're making absolute sense, and actually thank you for raising that. The common thread that I'm hearing from what everyone is saying is we don't really understand who our stakeholders are. And you need to understand, that's literally the root of monetization, understanding your stakeholders. What are stakeholders? They are the people who add to your business, who add either, commercial value, I don't know, social value, credibility, whatever the case may be, they make you the brand and the business that you are. So you have your customers and your audience, then you have your investors, then you have your suppliers. There are lots of people who become stakeholders of what you have to offer, and they determine how valuable you can also become, because they will also determine how you produce, the level at which you can produce, etc. So with that example, the great example that you gave us, the reason why your friend couldn't monetize when she decided to start charging is because she got her stakeholders confused. I don't charge my followers anything to use my content, to interact with my content. I sell my community to brands and investors. That's the value that I'm giving them. So I'm saying to them, I have this community, these people do X, Y, Z. They're valuable to your business because if they see your brand or your content on my platforms, you're going to get sales, you're going to get sign-ups, you're going to get employees who want to sign up to your graduate program. I'm selling my audience. I'm not selling marketing to my customers, my B2C. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I was trying to get my everyday Instagram follower to pay me, I'd be broke because they're not going to do that. But what they do is they amplify me. They say, oh, Lebo's great. When a corporate brings me to an event, they fill up the room. So it makes me valuable. And when I go to a corporate, I say, but when you book me, I fill out a room. When you book me, people talk about it online, so that's the value they're getting. So it's very important to know your stakeholders so you know what you're selling. Yes, I'm selling marketing to my B2C, my Instagram follower and my Twitter follower, but I'm selling a market to the brands. I'm not selling marketing to them. Does that make sense? It's overwhelming, I know. And it takes some time to understand what you're selling. But I will tell you that in the world that we're living in now, and the fact that we're creating so many things online, the greatest thing you can sell a brand or investors is people, is the market. Because business is all about selling products and services to markets. Companies want to grow their market share, so you have to show them how you can help them do that. And if you're saying what you're offering in your community can extend that market share, grow it, make it stronger, improve brand sentiment, then they're more likely to care about what you're offering than you just saying, I make beautiful work. Because the beautiful work doesn't mean anything from a commercial perspective or to the bottom line.